Weight loss peptides are everywhere right now. And you might be wondering, are they just a shortcut? Can you take something like a GLP-1 or a new peptide and just fix insulin resistance? Because on the surface, it kind of looks like that's what's happening. People are losing weight. Their blood sugar is improving. Markers like insulin and HOMA-IR are coming down. So in this video, I want to break this down properly. What these peptides actually are, how they work, the difference between semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide, and whether they're actually a shortcut, and if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Let's start simple. Peptides are chains of amino acids. Your body naturally produces them, and their job is to act like signaling molecules. They bind to receptors and tell your body to do something. Reduce appetite, repair tissues, regulate hormones. So when we're talking about peptides for insulin resistance, we're talking about manipulating these signals, not replacing hormones like steroids do, but enhancing or mimicking what our body already does. Now there are three main peptides you'll hear about in this space: semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide. The key difference between these comes down to how many receptors they target. Semaglutide, which is also known by the brand names Ozempic or Wegovy, is a GLP-1 receptor agonist. This means it mimics a hormone called GLP-1. GLP-1 is released in our gut when we eat, and it does a few important things. It increases insulin secretion when blood sugar is elevated. It slows down gastric emptying, so food leaves your stomach more slowly, and it reduces appetite by acting on the brain. So overall, it helps to control blood sugar and reduces how much you eat. And that's why it's effective for both diabetes and weight loss. Tirzepatide takes it a step further, and you might know it by the brand names Mounjaro and Zepbound. It targets two receptors, GLP-1 and GIP. GIP is another incretin hormone. It plays a role in insulin secretion and nutrient handling. And when you activate both GLP-1 and GIP together, you get a stronger effect, better blood sugar control, more weight loss, more impact on metabolic health. And that's why tirzepatide has outperformed semaglutide in a lot of studies. Now, retatrutide. And this is where things get interesting. Retatrutide targets three receptors: GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. And glucagon, this is the part that changes everything. Glucagon is often thought as the opposite of insulin. Insulin lowers blood sugar, while glucagon raises it. So at first, people might hear that and think, why would I want to activate glucagon if I'm trying to reverse insulin resistance? But the reality is more nuanced. Glucagon doesn't just raise blood sugar. It also increases energy expenditure. It promotes fat breakdown, and it increases metabolic flexibility. So when you combine GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon, you're not just controlling appetite and insulin, you're also increasing how much energy your body is using. This is why retatrutide has shown such dramatic results in early trials. We're talking weight loss numbers that go beyond what we've seen with earlier GLP-1s. In some studies, people are losing upwards of 20% of their body weight, which is approaching surgical level outcomes. But it's not just about weight loss. These peptides also improve markers of insulin resistance, lower fasting insulin, better blood sugar control, improved HOMA-IR, and reduced inflammation. So when you look at the data, it's easy to see why some people are calling these peptides a shortcut, because it looks like you can take something and dramatically improve your metabolic health. Now here's where we need to zoom out, because yeah, these results are very impressive, but they don't exist in isolation. Semaglutide and tirzepatide are approved medications. They've gone through full clinical trials. We have a good understanding of their safety and efficacy, but retatrutide is different. It isn't currently legal. It's still in clinical trials. There is a lot of promising data, but it's not quite there yet. Despite that, a lot of people are already using it, and you might be wondering, how are they accessing it? Well, it's through something known as the gray market. These peptides are being sold as for research use only. They're not approved for human use, but people are buying them and using them anyway. So now we have two separate things: what science is showing and how people are actually using these peptides. From a scientific perspective, these peptides are powerful. They improve insulin sensitivity, they reduce appetite, they help with weight loss, and all of those things contribute to reversing insulin resistance. But that doesn't necessarily make them a shortcut, because insulin resistance isn't just a medication problem, it's a lifestyle problem. It's driven by chronic overnutrition, low muscle mass, poor sleep, high stress, lack of movement. So there's some nuance here, because yes, these peptides are doing a lot of things that help you to improve insulin resistance. But are they changing your behavior? Are they changing your habits? Well, there actually might be something to that. And that's because of how these peptides impact dopamine. People taking them aren't getting the same reward signal from food. So even if they're hungry, fast food, chocolate, sweets, it's less appealing to them. This also goes for things like drugs, alcohol, gambling. These peptides are quite literally changing how people behave, and in a way that's arguably for the best. And that's part of why I'm so fascinated by peptides. Because you'll hear me talk about how important habit changes are all the time. Going on a crash diet, being super restrictive, that's not a long-term solution. What matters is changing your habits day to day, even small habits. That adds up, and that's what's ultimately going to help you reverse insulin resistance, keep it reversed, lose the weight, keep it off. So the fact that these peptides are helping people change their behavior, that is pretty incredible. Now, the other side of that, of course, is what happens when you reach your goal weight? What happens when you've reversed insulin resistance? Do you stop taking these peptides? Do your behavior and habit changes stick? Or are you going to have to take them for life? And that's where things get a little bit tricky because, again, we don't want short-term results. We want results that can last. So when people ask, are peptides a shortcut for reversing insulin resistance? The answer is they can dramatically improve it. They can accelerate it. They can make the process easier, but they don't eliminate the need for the fundamentals. Things like getting enough protein, building muscle, managing stress, sleeping well, structuring your meals. Those things matter. And maintaining those habits long-term, that's what's going to lead to lasting results. Now, coming back to Retatrutide specifically, the addition of glucagon is what makes things so interesting because it introduces a new dimension. It's not just controlling intake, but also increasing output. And this is why the results are so strong. Again, still in the early stages, but it's looking very promising. And the fact that it improves metabolic flexibility is something I am super interested in. It is a lot easier to get into ketosis when you're taking Retatrutide, even if you're eating moderate carbs. So where does that leave us? What I will say is this: peptides are one of the most powerful tools we have seen for metabolic health. They're changing the landscape for things like weight loss, but also for insulin resistance. Now, circling back again to what happens when you reach your goal weight, what happens when you reverse insulin resistance? Are you gonna have to take these peptides for life? I have an episode coming next week that answers just that, whether or not it's possible, and if there's a protocol to get off of them that actually works, that allows you to keep your results. Now, I wanna hear from you guys. What has your experience been with GLPs? Have you taken semaglutide, tirzepatide, or Retatrutide? What have your results been like? Let me know in the comments down below.